The galaxy erupted into chaos as rumors spread that the primal humans had achieved what the greatest minds of 1,000 worlds could not. An emergency Galactic Council meeting was convened, with grim-faced alien ambassadors filing into the shimmering crystal chamber. The cryptic ancient alien beacon from the long-lost world of Zor 9 had transmitted an indecipherable signal, causing terror to grip the galaxy. Venerated scientists and mighty AI struggled to comprehend the strange signal, the source, and meaning eluded even the brightest minds and most advanced quantum computers. As precious hours ticked by, 1,000 civilizations held their breath, fearing an extinction-level event. Panic would soon sweep the galaxy if answers weren't found quickly, and the pressure weighed heavily on the Galactic Council to resolve the crisis before it was too late. Dr. Ethan Reynolds hunched over his desk, scribbling equations on paper like a madman. His office was a chaotic mess of star charts, textbooks, and empty coffee cups. He muttered to himself as he worked, oblivious to the world outside his calculations. A loud knock on the door jolted him from his frenzied state. Ethan blinked, taking a moment to recall reality, then stumbled to the door and yanked it open, revealing a tall, muscular man in a black suit. The man's stone-faced expression made it clear that he wasn't there for a friendly chat. "Doctor Reynolds," the man said, "I'm Agent Marcus Johnson. I need you to come with me." Ethan stared at him, dumbfounded. "I'm sorry, what?" "I'm in the middle of some very important research. I don't have time for this." "This isn't a request," Agent Johnson interrupted. "Your expertise is needed for a top-secret mission, one that could determine the future of humanity." Ethan's curiosity was piqued. He had always dreamed of making a groundbreaking discovery, of being part of something bigger than himself. And if the government was involved, it had to be important. "All right," he said, grabbing his coat. "Lead the way." Agent Johnson led him to a nondescript black car waiting outside. They drove for hours, the city giving way to empty countryside. Finally, they arrived at a heavily guarded facility in the middle of nowhere. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, and security cameras monitored their every move. Inside, Ethan was introduced to the other members of the human delegation: Dr. Olivia Chin, a sharp-eyed and sharp-minded renowned computer scientist, and Dr. Alexander Novak, an expert in ancient civilizations with a salt and pepper beard and a twinkle in his eye. They were led to a briefing room where a stern-faced military official awaited them. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," he said. "We have a situation that requires your unique skills." He explained the mysterious signal from Zor 9 and how the greatest minds in the galaxy had failed to decipher it. "We believe that you three may be our best hope," he continued. "You will be joining the Galactic Council's joint task force, representing humanity in this endeavor." Ethan's heart raced with excitement. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to prove that humans were just as capable as any other species in the galaxy. "We won't let you down," he said, speaking for all of them. "We'll show the galaxy what humans are made of." The official nodded. "I hope so. The fate of the galaxy may depend on it." As they left the briefing room, Ethan turned to his new colleagues. "Well, it looks like we have our work cut out for us," he said with a grin. "Let's get started." The Joint Task Force's ship touched down on the barren surface of Zor 9, kicking up clouds of dust that obscured the view from the cockpit windows. As the dust settled, a colossal structure came into focus, towering over the landscape, a behemoth of alien architecture that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Ethan stepped out of the ship, his boots crunching on the rocky ground. He shielded his eyes from the glare of the planet's twin suns, squinting up at the imposing structure before him. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, with smooth curves and impossible angles. The rest of the team emerged behind him, each carrying specialized equipment. Dr. Chin had a portable quantum computer strapped to her back, while Dr. Novak carried a bag filled with ancient texts and translation matrices. Ambassador Zorx, the leader of the Galactic Council's delegation, strode past them, his four eyes narrowed in determination. "Let's get to work," he barked, his voice echoing off the alien walls. Inside the structure, the team set up a makeshift base camp. Each species claimed a corner of the cavernous chamber, setting up their equipment and beginning to work on decoding the signal. Days turned into weeks as they labored over the problem. The humans huddled around their computers, running simulations and analyzing data. The other species worked in their own ways, using advanced technology and esoteric knowledge to try to crack the code. But despite their best efforts, no progress was made. The signal remained as inscrutable as ever, its secrets locked away behind an impenetrable wall of alien mathematics and language. Tensions began to rise among the different races. The Zans blamed the Zaner for hogging the best equipment, while the Zaner accused the CR of withholding vital information. Even the usually stoic Ambassador Zorx was starting to show signs of strain, his tentacles twitching with agitation. One evening, as the team gathered for a tense meal, Ambassador Zorx slammed his appendage down on the table. "This is getting us nowhere," he snarled, his eyes flashing with anger. "We have been here for weeks, and we are no closer to decoding the signal than when we arrived." He turned his gaze on the humans, who sat huddled together at the far end of the table. "And you," he said, pointing an accusing tentacle at them, "you are the least advanced civilization here. What have you contributed to this endeavor?" Ethan bristled at the accusation but kept his voice calm. "We have been working just as hard as everyone else," he said. "We may not have the same level of technology, but we bring a unique perspective to the problem." Ambassador Zorx scoffed. "Your perspective? What good is that when we are facing a threat to the entire galaxy? I say we remove the humans from the task force and let the real scientists get back to work." Ethan felt his blood boil at the insult but refused to rise to the bait. He knew that getting angry would only prove the ambassador right. Instead, he excused himself from the table and returned to his workstation, determined to prove the alien wrong. Late that night, as the rest of the team slept, Ethan pored over the alien language patterns once again. He had always had a knack for languages and was convinced that the key to decoding the signal lay in understanding the nuances of the alien tongue. As he studied the symbols and glyphs, something clicked in his mind. He saw a pattern emerge, a logic to the madness that had eluded them all. With trembling hands, he input his findings into the computer, holding his breath as he waited for the results. The screen flashed green, and Ethan let out a cry of joy. He had done it. He had cracked the code. Excited beyond measure, he raced out of his corner of the chamber, eager to share his breakthrough with the rest of the team. But as he approached the other scientists, he was met with skeptical looks and dismissive snorts. "What is this nonsense?" one of the Zoran scientists sneered, barely glancing at Ethan's data. "You expect us to believe that a human could solve a problem that has stumped the greatest minds in the galaxy?" The other aliens muttered in agreement, their eyes filled with disdain and disbelief. Ethan tried to explain his findings, but his words fell on deaf ears. They refused to even consider the possibility that he might be right. Ethan felt his excitement drain away, replaced by a sinking feeling of despair. He had thought that cracking the code would be the end of their troubles, but now he realized that it was only the beginning. He would have to fight tooth and nail to get the others to take him seriously, to convince them that his solution was the real deal. But he refused to give up. He knew that the fate of the galaxy was at stake, and he would not rest until he had made the others see the truth. Even if it meant going against the entire task force, he would find a way to make them listen. With a determined set to his jaw, Ethan returned to his workstation, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He had come this far and would not be deterred by the doubts and dismissals of others. He would prove himself, no matter what it took. Ethan paced back and forth in the cramped confines of the human team's quarters, his mind racing with frustration and determination. He couldn't stand by and watch as the alien scientist dismissed his breakthrough without even giving it a chance. He knew in his gut that his decoding method was the key to unlocking the secrets of the beacon, and he was not about to let their narrow-mindedness stand in the way of saving the galaxy. He turned to Olivia and Alexander, who were watching him with a mix of concern and curiosity. "I can't take this anymore," he said, his voice low and urgent. "We have to do something. We can't let them ignore the one chance we have to solve this. Olivia nodded, her eyes filled with resolve. You're right. We didn't come all this way to be sidelined. We need to prove to them that your findings are valid. Alexander stroked his beard thoughtfully. But how do we do that? They've made it clear they don't trust our methods. Ethan's mind raced as he considered their options. They needed to find a way to demonstrate the validity of his solution in a way that the alien scientists couldn't ignore. And then it hit him, a bold, risky plan that just might work. We'll run a simulation, he said, his voice brimming with confidence. If we can demonstrate the accuracy of my decoding by simulating a response to the beacon, it might be enough to force them to take us seriously. Olivia's eyes widened with understanding. That's brilliant. If we can show them undeniable evidence that your method works, they'll have no choice but to listen. Alexander nodded, a spark of excitement in his eyes. It's risky, but it's our best shot. Let's do it. With renewed determination, the human team set to work. They labored through the night, combining their knowledge and skills to build a simulation that would put Ethan's decoding to the test. As the hours ticked by, exhaustion tugged at their minds and bodies, but they pressed on, driven by the urgency of their mission. Finally, as the first light of dawn crept over the alien horizon, they were ready. The simulation was complete, and it was time to see if their gamble would pay off. Ethan gathered the team around the central console, his heart pounding with anticipation and nerves. All right, everyone, this is it. Let's see if we're right. He initiated the simulation, and the room filled with a tense silence as they watched the results unfold on the screen. The simulated response to the beacon played out in intricate detail, each step of the process meticulously calculated based on Ethan's decoding. As the simulation reached its climax, the human team held their breath, their hearts racing with hope and fear. And then, the moment of truth arrived. The simulation concluded with a resounding success, its results displayed in glowing confirmation on the screen. Ethan's decoding method had worked flawlessly, and the simulated response had yielded the desired outcome. Cheers erupted from the human team as they realized the magnitude of what they had accomplished. They had done it, they had cracked the code and demonstrated its accuracy beyond any doubt. But the real challenge lay ahead, convincing the alien scientists to accept their findings and take action before it was too late. With a newfound sense of purpose, Ethan and his team approached the other scientists, who were still huddled in their respective corners of the chamber. The aliens watched them approach with skeptical eyes, clearly expecting another futile attempt to gain their attention. But Ethan refused to be discouraged. He stood before the assembled scientists and addressed them with a steady voice. "We've run a simulation based on our decoding of the signal," he said, his words carrying a quiet confidence. "And it worked. We've proven that our method is accurate and effective." He gestured to the screen, where the results of the simulation were displayed for all to see. "This is the evidence you've been waiting for. We urge you to consider our findings and work with us to unlock the secrets of the beacon." The alien scientists exchanged skeptical glances, but as they studied the data before them, a gradual shift in their expressions began to take place. The undeniable proof of the simulation began to chip away at their doubts, and slowly, a grudging respect for the human team's efforts began to form. Ambassador Zorks, who had been watching from the sidelines, stepped forward with an appraising look in his eyes. "It seems that I underestimated your capabilities. Humans," he said, his tone begrudgingly acknowledging their success. "Perhaps there is more to your species than meets the eye." Ethan met the ambassador's gaze with determined resolve. "We're all working towards the same goal, Ambassador. The fate of the galaxy depends on our collaboration." With a nod of agreement, the other scientists began to gather around the human team's console, poring over the data and discussing the implications of their findings. The barriers of skepticism and prejudice began to crumble, replaced by a shared commitment to unraveling the mysteries of the beacon and preventing the potential catastrophe it might herald. In the days that followed, the task force worked together in newfound harmony, pooling their collective knowledge and expertise to decode the remaining secrets of the signal. The beacon's mysteries gradually yielded to their combined efforts, and a sense of hope and camaraderie blossomed among the diverse group of scientists. Ethan's breakthrough had not only saved the mission, but had also forged an alliance that transcended the boundaries of species and culture. As the human team continued to contribute their unique insights and perspectives, they earned the respect and admiration of their alien counterparts. And as they delved deeper into the beacon's enigma, they realized that the journey was far from over. The signal was merely the first piece of a larger puzzle, one that would lead them to new challenges and discoveries across the vast expanse of the galaxy. But for now, they stood united in their mission, driven by the knowledge that their collaboration had the power to change the course of history. As they gazed up at the towering alien structure, they knew that the path ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But they were ready to face it together. In the end, it was the human spirit, their resilience, ingenuity, and determination that had made all the difference. And as they continued their journey into the unknown, they carried with them the hope that their efforts would light the way to a brighter future for all the species of the galaxy.